Well, you thought it was over, you thought you'd escaped, but here I am, once again, to be passive-aggressive about Smash Ultimate. You know, there is nothing I hate more in this world than backseat game designers. Except the short-hop macro in Smash Ultimate, which I would have fixed if I was there because I'm smarter than the dev team. But there is almost nothing I love more than views. Except Smash without the short hop macro. And for the first time in a long time, it feels like there is something interesting to say about this franchise. Recently, on his own YouTube channel, Smash Bros. Series director Masahiro Sakurai talked about the future of the series after Ultimate and said that he cannot imagine the franchise without him. That makes one of us. Smash Ultimate is obviously a monolithic game, a crossover of unprecedented proportions that is going to be hard, if not impossible, to top in terms of sheer content any time in the next 10 years. But Smash is a huge system seller, and there has to be another one eventually. Sakurai himself practically confirms this in this video. It's not ludicrous to suggest that we will see another title in this series within at least the next few years. So the question becomes, what will that look like? Realistically, I think the answer is that it will look like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. It'll be a port of Smash Ultimate with all the DLC by default, and you'll get Dante from Devil May Cry and Travis Scott and some fucking guy from some JRPG, I don't know, whatever, they all look the same to me. But what if we looked into the future? Whoa, go back. What if we looked into the future of the series? Let's say the next Smash game isn't a port of Ultimate, or even let's say it is. We still want to think about what's next, where you go after this unbelievable 80+ character celebration of hashtag gaming. And thankfully, I have. That's why I made this video. Anyone who's been following this channel for some time now will know that I have some opinions on Smash Ultimate, especially as a competitive game, but also as a casual game. They should also know that I have a very long history with this franchise. It's something deeply important to me that I grew up with and I love a lot, even if I'm not as enthused about the latest title as most people. I do genuinely love talking about this series as much as I've wanted to avoid pigeonholing myself on YouTube, and the thought of a new entry in the franchise, especially one that isn't just a port of Ultimate, is hugely exciting to me. There is nothing in the world like a Smash Bros hype cycle. I salivate over it. It is cocaine for a quirked up little white boy like me. So today I say I shall throw my prejudice to the side. I will be that guy who says this is how I would make a game better than industry professionals from the comfort of my stupid little YouTube channel. I'm gonna throw my hat in the ring and tell you how I think you could go about rebooting Smash, and in the process, I'm pretty much gonna tell you what my Smash 6 would look like. Here is the obvious sticking point with going forward with this series. It has an amount of characters that can likely never be replicated again. Sakurai himself has said this. Getting the rights to this many IPs from different companies for one project has to have been a logistical nightmare. Square Enix in particular seem to have been quite rocky to work with, considering that Cloud debuted in Smash 4 with 2 songs, and Sakurai has said that Hero was particularly hard to get in Smash Ultimate. And not only could it likely never be replicated again, I don't think it should. As my girlfriend tells me, bigger is not always better. Isn't that right, babe? Okay, she doesn't hear me. Okay, she isn't real. There is such a thing as too much of a good thing, and who else do you even want in Ultimate who you didn't get? Gino? No you don't. Stop lying to yourself. Smash Ultimate's whole thing was that it was this unbelievably ambitious crossover. I'm gonna let it stay that games thing, and I'm gonna let it stay special. It should go without saying the roster size is gonna come down significantly. Not just because contract negotiations and file size will be an absolute nightmare, but also because it frees up dev time for some attention to be given to other aspects of the game. Though a YouTuber I may be, I promise I am actually aware of what is and isn't feasible in game design, and as much as I'd love to be like, yeah, it's going to be a perfectly balanced 100 character fighting game with rollback netcode and Subspace Emissary and Slinky from Toy Story, I am trying to keep the scope of my pitch here somewhat realistic. Because I'd like to put some focus on single player content and some more fundamental design aspects, I'm going to say that my version of Smash 6 launches with 41 characters, which is still huge for a fighting game. I can't stress enough how spoiled some people may have been by Ultimate's roster size, but this is still very big and will genuinely be quite hard to balance. This is without mentioning an additional 9 DLC characters that were released after the game is out, bringing the total up to 50. Yes, this is smaller than Smash 4's final roster size by 8 characters, but there were quite a few characters in Smash 4 that frankly didn't need to be there, and again, dev time is going other places. So, the $1 million question then. If you're whacking the character count down to 41, who are you getting rid of? And this, this is the fun part. The cuts. So as we'll get to in the following section, my overall vision for Smash 6 is that we pull it away from being a celebration of all of gaming and make it a bit more grounded. Bring it back to being a celebration of Nintendo. There's been more than enough first and second party Nintendo titles since Ultimate came out in 2018 to pad out the roster, and if you want these other characters in a fighting game so bad, then you'll have to hope that Sony do a PlayStation All-Stars 2 or something. Competition is good. They didn't put Snake or Cloud in the first one because they were in Smash. This means that almost every third-party character is getting cut in my vision of Smash 6, and actually all of them are gone in the base game. You're gone, you're definitely gone, boom. Peace. It's sad, but for the sake of maintaining Ultimate's identity and making this game the best it can be, I think it has to be done. Some of you may die, but it's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. Smash Ultimate's 82 character roster without any third-party characters, even the earliest ones like Sonic and Snake, comes down to this many. Yeah. We need to keep cutting. Okay, first things first, I don't feel the slightest bit bad about this. Mies, you're out of here. Imagine looking at a roster of 80 plus of the most legendary characters in gaming history and being like, I want to play as me. Jesus Christ, even my ego is not that bad. I love a good jape as much as the next guy, and Piranha Plant is a very cool and fun character that I loved the humour of seeing in the game, but yeah, they're gone. Min Min! You're gone. Ironic! The series all about arms didn't have any legs. Let's talk about Fire Emblem, shall we? Oh, I'm salivating over this. Can't wait for the comments to be totally normal and rational. I am still traumatized by Corrin's side beat from Smash 4, and they're also from the worst Fire Emblem game where you can have sex with your cousin, so they're gone. Roy is kinda cool, especially in Ultimate, but he's a semi-clone of Marth from one game that's over 20 years old and he sucked in it. He is unfortunately gone. Ike is also gone. I like him, go figure, but his time is up. His games are long past relevancy. I am cutting Chrom, but keeping Robin because I think Awakening is so important to the franchise and deserves representation, and because Robin is the most unique Fire Emblem character in Smash. Lucina stays as an Echo Fighter. And by the way, Echo Fighters are still in, and they're going to retain their differences. One of the dumbest changes Ultimate ever made was eliminating the differences between Echo Fighters. So in this game, Daisy's turnips will have different properties. Dark Samus will continue to float and have slightly different animations. If anything, we might add slightly more subtle changes to the Echo Fighters, because why wouldn't we? Literally, what is the point of an Echo Fighter being different from an alternative costume if you're just going to have no gameplay differences whatsoever? Byleth. As much as I hated Byleth's inclusion in Ultimate, I must confess that I think they're cool in the game and that Three Houses is good and important. However, I'm cutting them. There will be a different modern Fire Emblem rep in my Smash 6, and no, I'm not particularly happy about it either, but I think it's inevitable. I'm cutting Toon Link and Young Link because I don't think Smash needs 3 Links, and Young Link's noises annoy me. I'm also cutting Sheik because she was in one game over 20 years ago. In terms of Pokemon, I'm cutting Incineroar, which hurts me because I think he's awesome in Smash, even if his games suck. I'm cutting Pokemon Trainer because I'm tired of Gen 1. I'm cutting Pichu and Greninja, who just aren't that important to Nintendo history overall, and ooh, this one hurts. But I'm cutting Mewtwo. I don't want the only Pokemon in our base roster to be Gen 1, and we have to be aggressive. I'm not cutting Puff. I want to cut Puff, believe me, because it should have been Meowth in Smash 64, not Puff, but Puff is too important to Smash history at this point. Another one that hurts, I'm cutting Wolf. Really, if we're going by the relevancy argument, I should probably cut all the Star Fox characters, but I'm going to leave the other 2 in because they're cool. Okay, that's my reasoning. They're just cool. Look at Fox McCloud, by far the least drippy of the space animals, and he still has more style than everyone watching this video. Falco might even have as much drip as the guy who made it. Spaceys have historically always been some of the coolest characters to play in Smash. We need them in for the sake of the game's meta. Lucas is gone. It's a miracle he ever got into Smash, considering how Nintendo treats Mother 3, and fighting him is about as much fun as having a root canal. Back into the Shadow Realm with you. Ice Climbers are gone. I mean, Obviously they are. Palutena is gone, and I would get rid of Dark Pit too, because Kid Icarus is so irrelevant right now, but he's an Echo Fighter so similar to Pit already, I'll just leave him in because it won't take any dev time. I didn't keep Chrom earlier, by the way, because I think 3 characters from one specific Fire Emblem game is a bit much, and the character that he is an echo of is also getting cut. Zero Suit Samus is gone. She may play differently from regular Samus, but with Metroid Prime 4 on the horizon, there's a much cooler Metroid character that we can put in than Samus without a suit. Bowser Jr. is gone. Sorry, buddy, they shouldn't have put you in that little car. You deserve better than that. Pyra and Mithra. I would do this anyway, but the fact that it'll upset Xenoblade 2 fans makes it even sweeter for me. Finally, I'm cutting a lot of the weird niche picks put in to represent retro Nintendo. I'm keeping Game & Watch because I think he's novel enough and has a long enough history in Smash, but Rob, Little Mac, Wii Fit Trainer, and sadly Duck Hunt Duo, who I think were very cute and very underappreciated, are gone. So for those keeping track, 34 veterans remain, and 34 veterans of our 41 character base roster means 7 newcomers. Our base veterans are as follows: Mario, Luigi, Bowser, Peach, Daisy, Echo Fighter, Yoshi, Rosalina and Luma, Wario, Donkey Kong, Diddy Kong, King K. Rool, whose inclusion I think some people may question based on the relevancy argument, but we need villains, I cut a lot, and he's my favourite character: Cope, Seethe, Mauled. Link, Zelda, Ganondorf, Pikachu, Jigglypuff, Lucario, whose inclusion I think some people may also question, but is a really cool character when Aura isn't bullshitting you, and I want a Pokemon that represents the series from after the 90s. Marth, Lucina, Echo Fighter, Robin, Samus, Dark Samus, Echo Fighter, Ridley, Villager, Isabelle, Shulk, Kirby, King Dedede, Meta Knight, Fox, Falco, Inkling, Mr. Game & Watch, Pit, Olimar, Ness, and Captain Falcon. Now, probably the part most of you are hyped for. It's the newcomers. Who's joining? Well, get comfortable, grab a bottle of water, and don't get a snack because snacking's bad for you. Have some fruit, and also check your posture, and let's dive in. It's an obvious choice, but a sensible one. I'm not even going to begin to speculate on Waluigi's moveset because there's so many directions you could go with it, but definitely, let's just have some fun with it. This would be a great character to reveal early, a nice long-awaited bombshell that I think would get a lot of people invested in the game. I think it kind of sucks how, throughout all of Smash, all of Zelda's representation has, in some way, only been 3 characters. So for our 4th and final Zelda rep in the game, I want someone entirely unique. For the longest time, I thought that was Impa, who has a long history in the series and who we could base off her Hyrule Warriors appearance. Then Tears of the Kingdom came out and I scoured that game for a rep who could be in the next Smash, and the most sensible pick to me seemed to be Rauru. But the thing about Rauru is he's lame, and I like characters that can represent more than just one game if I can help it. We also know that popularity plays a big part in deciding who gets into Smash, which is why Min Min got into Ultimate over main characters Springman and Ribbon Girl. You don't have to be the most important character in the game to end up in Smash. It matters more to be popular, but a mix of importance and popularity is even better. Which is when it dawned on me that the perfect pick had been staring me in the face the whole time, with a gorgeous, gleaming, handsome smile.
Say hey there, young one! Up top, above you!
Yes, Smash has served the retro crowd, it's fulfilled its villain quota, now it's time to start filling up our Tumblr sexy man representation with Sidon. He's got a trident, he's a giant fish man, he's very agile, he has canonical water powers, he's very unique, and he's a beautiful representation of modern open world Zelda, both Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Get him in. Alright, let's get this out of the way. The Pepsi people from Fire Emblem Engage are in. No, I'm not happy about it either. I can honestly say I'd rather have Byleth because at least their game was good, but it's gonna happen. It's inevitable, let's just accept it. My experience with Xenoblade is limited, but I will say that Xenoblade Chronicles 3 generally looks a lot less embarrassing than Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and the main dude's character design doesn't actually make me want to vomit this time. Actually, I think it looks pretty cool. Whoa, JRPGs, calm down. Yeah, let's put Noah in. I think it feels like the tide of public opinion has turned against him recently, but I'm gonna say it. I am a Bandana D truther. He's just a cute little guy with a spear, he's been in a lot of games, the Kirby fighters are generally cool and very different, I like him. I just think he's neat. I'm putting Bandana D in. Alright, I don't want to date this video too hard, so if you're watching this video after the release of Metroid Prime 4, please skip to the timestamp shown on screen so you don't have to hear me talk about how Metroid Prime 4 isn't out as of the making of this video. From what little I know of Metroid Prime, it seems that there is good reason to believe that the character Psylocke from previous Metroid Prime games is going to be a big deal in the next one. And I mean, look at him. I don't know anything about Metroid Prime, but yeah, you best believe we're putting him in. I have no idea what he does, but I reckon it's cool as hell. This leaves us with one more newcomer and character 41, and for this I am going to break my no third party rule. I think we can afford to have one third party character in the base game, and we need one big bombshell to go kinda crazy for the marketing in this game. But to be honest, a lot of the big third party series have been done in Ultimate, and I don't want to go back to the well with Final Fantasy or another Capcom character. I want to do something a bit out of left field. Here's a character who will not create the buzz of a Cloud or a Banjo, but who is cool and whose fanbase I think deserves a win, especially considering that they were a Mii costume in Smash Ultimate.
Fuckhead!
All three No More Heroes games are on Nintendo consoles. Suda51 supposedly has a good relationship with Sakurai and seemed a bit bummed to see Travis as a Mii costume. Plus, Travis himself is a parody of internet weebs, and if there's one thing you should know about me from this video so far, it's that I love making fun of anime fans. It'd be cool to give this series a spotlight, and if they can make Bayonetta PG enough to be in Smash, then we can make this work too. I say, let's do it. Now, if I haven't talked your ear off enough about characters already, there are the 9 DLC characters I mentioned earlier. Less than Smash Ultimate, yes, again, you have been spoiled, it's still more than Smash 4. Over the course of 4 packs of 2 characters, 2 characters, 2 characters, and then the final one having 3 characters, I would seek to patch up the holes left by some missing veterans and sneak in just a couple more newcomers. First off, you have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, well and truly outfoxed. I am very impressed at my own ability to keep it together during the earlier segment, if you don't mind my saying, because yes, I am in fact bringing Wolf back after all. He's just too cool, okay? I don't care if Star Fox never gets another game again. Let Wolf be the new Captain Falcon. He's just a Smash character now. We can put him in every game because he's cool. Coming along with Wolf, I think Animal Crossing is deserving of a third rep, and I think there is something cosmically funny about having to pay money for Tom Nook. I imagine him a bit like Shovel Knight in Rivals of Aether, with an inventory system where he picks different items to attack you with and probably throws bells at you too. Fair to say the reveal trailer featuring these two would go crazy. Next pack, I also really considered bringing Mewtwo back, but considering this hypothetical game wouldn't be releasing until like 2026, 2027 at the earliest, I think it's more likely we get a Pokemon from the latest generation, and that's probably the more interesting pick sadly as well, though I really do like Mewtwo in Smash, even when he's bad, which he usually is. It'd be cool if this could be the grass starter, since Charizard and Greninja have previously gotten in. This would be like Gen 10 they'd be up to by now. Gen 11? Man, they should just stop making Pokemon after Gen 10. Anything after Gen 10 is just going to sound ridiculous. Coming along with this yet non-existent new Pokemon would be Ryu and Echo Fighter Ken, technically our first third-party character. I know I said I didn't want to go back to the well with Capcom earlier, but getting these guys in here specifically is important, as you'll see in a bit. Pack 3, I'm also bringing back Bayonetta because I am indeed a feminist. Hit my line, ladies. This is an important second-party character to set the groundwork for something to come later. I want more series represented. Obviously, she's just had Bayo 3, and she's pretty cool when she's not killing a game's meta. She is paired with a Rhythm Heaven character, because I think Rhythm Heaven seems cool, and I'm sad that it's never got a character despite seeming so close twice now. Often the chorus kids are thrown around as the most likely rep, but I'm going to go with Karate Joe, because I think he looks funnier. Imagine this guy bicycle kicking Princess Peach in the head. I want that. And for the final pack, we want to see the game off with some hype and bring back some big deal characters. So this pack sees the return of Sonic and Pac-Man, two huge third parties who I feel like we really can't do without in the final roster. Sonic is one of the OG third party characters, and I think is important enough to Nintendo's history, even as an opposing mascot, to warrant a place in Smash forever. Pac-Man, even disregarding his legacy, is a very intentional pick, as you'll see when I talk a bit about the game's identity and theming after the characters section. And then character 50, my piece de resistance newcomer, This is a pipe dream. It's almost definitely not happening. He's not relevant. He hasn't been in a long time. Ubisoft are more interested in making NFTs and E3 press conferences from 2010 than they are making games for him, but man, I want Rayman. I really considered saying Crash here. I'd maybe want him even more, but he is in the middle of a very confusing IP situation, and to be honest, I want other companies to compete. I want to leave characters owned by the likes of Microsoft and Sony alone for the potential PS All-Stars 2 that's probably never happening, or some Microsoft crossover where Master Chief fights a Mercedes AMG 1 from Forza Horizon. Rayman is so expressive and colourful and beautifully realised in Brawlhalla. Lord, I see what you've done for people and I need that for me. He deserves better. He'd be a ton of fun, his stage would be gorgeous. Rayman Legends is dead ass the best 2D platformer ever made. Free my mans. So there you have it, my full 50 character roster with DLC included. How did I do? Rate my roster. Like I said, Tesco meal deal. Only the Brits will know what I'm talking about there, this bunch is for us. I took a lot of factors into consideration and think we got a diverse and neatly rounded cast of characters that will appeal to everyone and is respectful of Nintendo history but also appreciative of what's come recently. Real quick, because I'm already concerned this roster section has gone on too long, Echo Fighters. Obviously Daisy, Lucina, Dark Samus and Dark Pit are still in, but we're going to get some more going in too because with minor gameplay changes they're almost different characters for minimal dev time, which I like a lot. Dixie Kong for Diddy I think is an obvious one. She just has a different up B for flying with her hair, and maybe her neutral B changes too, or her F smash is a bit less animalistic. Octoling is here for Inkling. I don't know anything about Splatoon, but they're here. Galactonite for Meta Knight and Nintendo for Ness. I also don't know enough about these characters to know what would change, but I'm sure we can think up something cool. Finally, if we're really trying to make this final DLC pack a big deal, then on top of offering 3 characters, something else we could do is give one of them an Echo Fighter. I am still hurt by that Grinch leak for Smash Ultimate in 2018. I kinda just want Shadow. He can be a slower and stronger and perhaps consequentially less lame version of Sonic. So, with over 30 less characters in this game than its predecessor, one may ask, how do you justify such a culling? The answer? With reworks, baby. A lot of characters have existed in Smash since time immemorial in basically the same ways, and it's time they got an update, a refresh, some new moves that represent more modern outings. It's probably time for Mario to ditch that cape and start using Cappy, and maybe even ditch Flood and do some elephant stuff instead. By the time this game comes out, he'll probably need to be doing some stuff from the latest 3D Mario as well. DK should pull a barrel. I don't know why he doesn't, but DK's down B should not be that silly hand slap. He should spawn an empty barrel and be able to throw it. The hand slap can go somewhere else on the moveset because it should stay. I think it's his down smash. Link! I mean, how do you even start with Link? After Tears of the Kingdom, it's like, what do you do, bro? Let him grab you from halfway across the stage? Let him summon the fucking dick robot? Let him build Optimus Prime? I don't know, man. Let your imagination run wild. Lucario can be less reliant on aura and more reminiscent of Project M Lucario, high-key, one of the coolest Smash characters ever created. And make no mistake, while this is not quite melee speed, this is a fast-paced and combo-centric game. There are 2 characters in this roster, however, whom I deem more desperately in need of an overhaul than any other. The idea of reworking characters was practically introduced solely for them. They are screaming for a total ground-up redesign and have been for a long time because their representation in Smash is frankly pitiful and something needs to be done about it. Can you guess who it is? Go on, guess. I'll give you a moment. Seriously, I'll play some music and go ahead and leave a comment. Tell me right now who you think it's going to be. Say, I think you are reworking blank and blank, and see how you do. Okay, it's these guys. These characters both drive me completely insane. Easily, historically, some of the worst designed characters in every appearance they make. Ganondorf is an all-powerful dark wizard, bro. 4 games later, he should not still be feeling like Captain Falcon just stepped in dog shit. He should be doing magic stuff with malice or gloom or whatever. He should have more sword attacks. He should probably be floating like in Project M. He certainly shouldn't have a literal worst Falcon punch for a neutral B and the worst up tilt ever conceived. Maybe you keep Flame Choke and you get rid of just about everything else. There are like 1,000 ways you could design Ganondorf for a fighting game better than he has been in Smash for over 20 years now, but one thing's for sure, if I'm balancing this game, I'm going well out of my way to ensure he's a straight up top tier. It's about time, he's long overdue. I don't care how broken he is at release, I am never nerfing him. If he's not good at release, I am buffing the shit out of him every patch until he's top 10 minimum. It's time for Ganondorf to be meta relevant for once. Sonic! Jesus Christ. Again, there are literally a million ways you can make this character not the lamest thing on earth, and suggesting all the specific ways you can do that is outside of the scope of this video, so the basics. Maybe we do more with his 30+ year history as a video game character. You probably make it so that side B and down B aren't functionally the same thing, and if you keep side B, then you probably nerf it quite significantly to make it less of an obnoxious camping option. You certainly go out of your way to nerf Sonic's disadvantage in defensive tools and buff his buttons, encourage some rushdown. I mean, Jesus man, it is so tragic how lame this character is and has been for so long. He should be so cool in theory. Again, hate to be that guy, but Project M. My hope is that the trimmed down roster and focus on reworks would bring a lot of depth back to the roster, without harping on Smash Ultimate too much, depth that I think has been missing from a lot of characters for a long time now. This is how you justify less content, the most different feeling Smash in a long time, largely down to how every character should feel more fresh than ever. Hard to believe that Sonic should be the thing to hold us up, I know, but finally, at long last, we're out of the character section. I felt that was the most important part to tackle first because it was the biggest obstruction to coming up with a feasible pitch for a Smash game, I think. Now, we need to think wider. What is this Smash game? What's its thing? Its identity? Well, we definitely don't want to do another Smash 4 and just forget to give it a name, so let's make sure we fix that. And there's tons of potential names out there. Smash Bros Rumble, Smash Bros Clash, Smash Bros Hootenanny, Hoedown, Barnstormer, Donnybrook. Let's go with Clash. As this game is more focused on Nintendo history, I like going with an arcade aesthetic. I like to imagine some neon in the logo and a lot of the key art. I think classic 8-bit Mario and Donkey Kong and classic forms of older characters will be shown off a lot, and this also has a bearing on some single player content we'll be talking about in a bit, and is about half the reason we brought Ryu, Ken and Pac-Man back as DLC. So, Brawl gave us final smashes, Smash 4 gave us custom moves. What's our unique selling point here? What sets this Smash game apart from others in the series? I call it the assist meter. We're taking cues from other fighting games and including a meter that builds up when you successfully land, dodge and parry attacks and allows you to summon an assist trophy of your choice once it's full up. Basically, it's like Final Smash meter, but we're actually going to go out of our way to balance the assist trophies in this game. Contrary to what Sakurai and Nintendo have seemed to believe, something can be competitively balanced and casually enjoyable at the same time. Any particularly broken assist trophies will fine tune. I've always thought assist trophies were really cool, and leading into them here I think really helps this game as a crossover, as we get to feature so many cool characters and IPs who may not be playable characters but still get to be an important part of core gameplay. We're going to bring back nearly all of the assist trophies from previous games, but some like the Nintendog and the Devil either need to go or be overhauled entirely for the sake of fairness. We can't have this level of gimmickry in competitive play. There are also some fairly obvious inclusions like Ochi from Pikmin, Elfilin and Magalore from Kirby, Raru from Zelda, etc. I think some of the new and DLC characters also bring some assists along with them. We're going to look to have, as a ballpark figure, about 60 or 70 assists. Yes, that is a lot. It is a lot to balance, but with the leaned out character roster, I think this is something we can achieve. I think we have the dev time to pay attention to the balance here. Balance is definitely a slippery slope with so many variables introduced now, but assists are a cool concept that have potential to make for some incredibly cool and exciting gameplay if we're conscientious enough to pay attention to the balance. And an important note, in an attempt to make up for the characters that were so ruthlessly slashed from the roster earlier, every single non-third party veteran is back as an assist. Young Link, Toon Link, Bowser Jr., Greninja, even Pyra and Mithra, yes, all of them. They all perform one of their more iconic moves from previous iterations of Smash, or maybe even their final Smash or something close to it. Again, whatever feels the most balanced. Some people whose entire personality is wanting Isaac from Golden Sun in Smash might suggest that this is not a make good and is instead an insult, a slap in the face, to which I say that it's a video game, there are 50 characters in it, and you should go outside and reconnect with nature. The assist meter brings an exciting and dynamic mechanic to Smash with the potential to hugely shake up both casual and competitive play, and I'm going to be somewhat controversial and draconian here and say that you will not be able to turn the assist meter off. It is a fundamental part of the game, and I don't want it to be eschewed in competitive play in particular. I know this sounds like forcing items or unfair stages on pro players, but I promise that my theoretical, non-existent design team and I will be watching the meta with eagle eyes. In this hypothetical dream scenario that does not exist, I would simply balance the assists. They are the crux of the game's identity. They are what makes it unique, and I want to see them being used. I want to see all the exciting combinations people come up with. Also, ideally, across a 3-stock match. I think on average most players and characters would only be able to build it up and use it like twice. This mechanic allows us to feature a lot of characters who would have otherwise been cut and lets us pay homage to many facets of Nintendo history. It's worked in other fighting games, it's almost always exciting, and it's appealing to casual players as well, I think. I'm a big advocate for something like this being the direction of the next Smash. Speaking of direction, why don't you go ahead and direct yourself over to the Hard Drive Maggie YouTube channel. It's where all my work has been for the past 10 months and will likely continue to be for the foreseeable future pending my inevitable termination or potential tragic death. I'm immensely proud of what I've been doing on that channel. I think it's been a lot of my best work and would implore you to go give it a look and maybe a subscribe. It would help a lot. I would greatly appreciate that. If you're watching this video and have found yourself thinking, wow, I wonder where Fudj has been these past 9 months. Well, maybe you've only ever been interested when I talk about Smash and or Pokemon, but you can do better, I promise. That's where I've been. Go check it out, because hard drive is my priority right now over this channel, has been for some time, and will likely continue to be. Thank you, and I'm sorry in advance about whichever video there is first to incite in you a deep sense of disappointment in me. Something I am concerned may be coming across in this video, aside from my toxic smugness, is that I may be letting my past as a competitive player and present as a spectator cloud my judgment, that I'm gearing this hypothetical game far too much towards competitive players. There's a reason it may seem that way, and it's because I fundamentally disagree with Sakurai and Nintendo's design philosophy in regards to casual and competitive players. A game having depth in its mechanics does not suddenly turn off casual players, especially if you're going to accommodate them with separate online modes, a bit like for fun and for glory in Smash. You could argue that snaking and fire hopping are alienating to casual Mario Kart players, for example, but are they really? Casual Mario Kart players don't know what this stuff is, and they don't care. It's far more skill intensive than the less dedicated players care to learn about. Yet these things, much like Mario Kart 7's more expressive control over your glider, which allowed for nifty little shortcuts, have been removed in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which, sure, makes it a more instantly balanced experience, but also makes it feel shallow and vapid for anyone who isn't just a casual player. It strips away all mechanical identity, and that's just not something I believe in. Quite unlike real Nintendo, my imaginary design team and I will go out of our way to maintain the mechanics that fuel competitive play, but still cater to casual players by ensuring that they aren't so broken that they're an instant win in any match, and including separate online modes for people who want to play competitively for rank and people who just want to have fun. This is my way of saying, yes, my Smash 6 would have a ranked online mode. I'm not going to go into detail, otherwise this video would be 4 hours long, but it will be better than GSP, I'll put it that way. It will be an actual, real online ranking system, and we're going to try really hard not to have 48 frames of input delay and online servers run by a fleet of poorly coordinated hamsters. But what about the casual players? I hear you cry, which is weird, get out of my house. Listen, as long as the core tenets of Smash are maintained, which they will will be, the casual players are gonna come anyway. They're not gonna see Ridley do a wave dash and be like, oh, not playing now. Their other casual friends aren't gonna care or learn how to do it, and if they do, they can make an agreement not to use such things in their matches. Melee did not suffer whatsoever in terms of sales and popularity for being a game that appealed to both the casual and competitive market. If anything, it's been made more popular overall. A deep divide didn't happen there because of depth in gameplay mechanics. It's not gonna happen here. Even so, though, due to Ultimate's fixation on characters and crossover, it did have to compromise a lot of single player content, a lot of stuff that I, both pre and post tournament career, loved. So this game, with its much smaller roster, now also has the resources to put significant dev time into said single player content, which again is a huge draw for the casual player. When thinking of single player content, the first thing people often bring up, especially in regards to stuff they want to see back, is the Subspace Emissary from Brawl. The Subspace Emissary was great, but we're not bringing it back. Because again, I like letting certain games in the franchise maintain their identity, and I don't think just bringing stuff back from the past is always the most interesting option. And though trimming down the roster has freed up a lot of resources, I think everything we're about to get into, plus 60 plus balanced assists, plus all the cutscenes and story of a mode like Subspace Emissary might still be a bit too much to ask. Instead, for our main single player mode, we're looking at Ultimate's World of No, we're fucking not. We're looking at Melee's Adventure mode, a single player mode that I think is oft forgotten and a bit underappreciated. I really like the stage by stage, go to different game worlds and do different platforming and fighting challenges approach. The first level in the Mushroom Kingdom is very platforming heavy and is littered with Mario enemies. The second level, set in Hyrule, seeks to emulate a Zelda dungeon. The F-Zero level has you trying to cross the calmest road in London. I want to do something like this again, but I want to take this idea further and expand on it. Melee's Adventure mode was just about right in terms of length, but I want branching paths where the player can decide which stage to do next. I also want secret paths and unlockables that show up when you fulfill certain conditions, and instead of just fighting Giga Bowser at the end, I want multiple unique potential final bosses. Yes, bosses from Brawl are back. We have about as many as Brawl had too, even without Subspace Emissary. Giga Bowser is back of course, and Taboo will be a nice little surprise final boss for anyone playing Adventure mode or the yet again unlockable Boss Rush mode on very hard or intense difficulty, but we also have Ganon and Marks returning from Ultimate, as well as Kraid, Hades, Lord Frederick. Okay, so originally I had another one here, however I've recently learned that there's a villain in Splatoon called Mr. Grizz who looks like this, so ignore whatever else I was going to say. Put Mr. Grizz in the game right now. Make him a playable character, I don't give a shit. Mr. Grizz and Ultra Necrozma. Master Hand and Crazy Hand will also, of course, return, but they will not appear in Adventure mode and instead be reserved for Arcade mode. Functionally the same as Classic mode, just with a new thematically appropriate name and coat of paint. One cool new thing is that every character's penultimate fight before the final boss is a rival battle with a character that we will deem appropriate and sometimes funny. Yes, Zelda will fight Sidon because I love the idea of gay subtext. Travis will fight the Fire Emblem Engage Pepsi people because I think he would roast the shit out of them, and Isabelle will fight Ridley because that's just funny. All the modes you expect to return will also be here. Events and co-op events, home run contest, target smash, multi-man smash, and of course all-star mode. Something you may not expect to return, but I think definitely needs to come back, however, is Smash Run. High key, the best part of Smash 4 on the 3DS, and the best single player mode we've had in Smash in 10 years. Finally, also coming back, trophies. God, how I miss them. And not just trophies, but the coin launcher too, which will be used to unlock not just trophies, but also music tracks, Smash Run powers, assists, maybe a stage or two, and even diorama pieces. So here's my nifty little unique idea for a new piece of Smash content. One of my favourite things about Brawl was the masterpieces, full-on demos of iconic Nintendo games. Not only an awesome celebration of Nintendo's rich history, but also a super slick advertisement. This was seriously the first time I ever played Ocarina of Time. My pitch here is for buildable dioramas, or models of iconic moments from Nintendo games that we show off inside an empty arcade claw machine or something similar for flavour. You collect 3 unlockable pieces by engaging with various modes, and when the diorama is complete, you can hop into the diorama and play out that exact moment in the game itself, like a 10-minute vertical slice. One of them would be Mario throwing Cappy at Bowser at the end of Mario Odyssey, for example, so you play that segment. One is Fox and Wolf's fight in Star Fox 64. One of them is Link pulling the Master Sword in Ocarina of Time, so on and so forth. You get to play the game for 10 minutes or so from that moment, and it serves as a demo, an advertisement, and a sick unlockable with some really cool and worthwhile content. It's something that I think makes so much sense that I am profoundly confident Nintendo will never do anything like it again. Oh yeah, Stage Builder is back, because I think we can do a lot more with it still. I don't know if this is a hot take, but I miss when things took effort to unlock in Smash, and unlocking characters felt like an achievement. It's another of my favourite things about Brawl, and Melee to a slightly lesser extent. I don't necessarily want kids blowing up their houses by leaving their GameCubes on overnight because you had to have played versus matches for 20 hours in Melee to unlock Mewtwo, but significant unlockable content adds a lot of mystique and intrigue to the characters who are hardest to unlock, and it makes the casual and single player offerings feel a lot more substantial when everything isn't just handed to you on a silver platter. So yeah, another point for the casual players. Unlocking everything is actually going to require you to engage with multiple different parts of the game. Let's just touch on stages real quick. I won't go over every one, but here's some obvious ones that should come back and some obvious ones that should be included. Hyrule Temple, Big Blue, Smashville, Pokemon Stadium, these are all classics for various reasons that should definitely come back, as should WarioWare, but with some funky new minigames and aesthetics to represent the newer entries in the series. I also want Pirate Ship back because I love that stage, and with Toon Link no longer playable, we want to make sure that side of Zelda is still represented. Let's also get some of the 3DS exclusive stages that missed Smash for Wii U back in as well. I'm talking Rainbow Road, and particularly that Pac-Man Maze stage can come back in DLC Pack 4 because that one remix goes crazy, and even us white boys need to bust it down sometime. As far as new stages, if Metroid Prime is getting a new character, Metroid Dread should definitely get a stage, perhaps in the form of Itarash. Itarash? I did not play that game. Fire Emblem Engage should get the fucking Samoyed or whatever it is. Pikmin 4 should get whatever the nicest looking level from that game is. I'm quite partial to Giant's Hearth myself because I like the idea of fighting on a giant barbecue or just watching someone's uncle grill in the background. A Sky Island from Tears of the Kingdom is an obvious choice, maybe the Great Sky Island, something from the new 3D Mario, Natural Plains from Kirby and the Forgotten Land, and I'm gonna say what we're all thinking, the streets need a new Poke Floats. Well, I'm a white guy from southern England, so I don't really know what the streets are saying, but I assume that's what they're saying. Give us a new Poke Floats from the latest generation of Pokemon at the time. All new balloons, all new Pokemon, all new chaos. The streets are probably demanding it. Splatoon 3 should get a stage. I don't know, what maps did the Splatoon 3 players like? Hagglefish Market looks cool, let's go with that. And lastly, let's give some stages to some series that don't have fighters for the novelty factor. I want a Nintendo Land stage. It's 10 years too late, but put some respect on Nintendo Land. Professor Layton's apparently getting a new game, let's get a World of Steam stage. Let's get a Ring Fit stage. Starting Block Bridge, perhaps. That's where all the hardest battles of my real life have taken place. And obviously, our final base fighter, Travis, gets the motel. What else would it be? Yes, Alpha and Omega variants will of course return. One of the few things added to Ultimate that I was a truly big fan of, the inclusion of Small Battlefield feels like exactly the kind of thing a stupid YouTube video like this would dream about happening, but would never actually happen, and then it did actually happen. Crazy. My team and I would ensure a good swath of stages could be healthy, balanced, and tournament legal when switched to hazards off. Obviously, we've already got Final Destination, Battlefield, Pokemon Stadium, and Smashville, and I like to think maybe Town and City could come with Tom Nook, but for my own selfish purposes, I am ensuring that Motel and some Xenoblade stages legal so that we can listen to songs from those games during tournament play, and we aren't cursed with having 50% of the most high stakes matches in the game's competitive history happen to Brewster's Roost. Huh. Wonder who that is. Oh, it's the most obvious business decision in the world! DLC costumes. Sometimes you would swear Nintendo don't actually like money. The fact that they haven't done this yet just blows my mind. Again, I'm not going to go into all the potential these have. I'm literally just going to put some pictures up as I talk to illustrate my point. There is so much money that's been left on the table by not having DLC costumes, but now with Mii's gone, the time is more right than ever. You pretty much just position these like Mii costumes. You have them go up for sale alongside the DLC packs, and you put a lot of them up. I would hope to have given every single character at least one super sick DLC costume by the end of the game's lifespan. You could sell them individually for like £1, $1, whatever. You could sell them in bundles. I don't care how you do it, just do it. Oh my god. Something I should have mentioned when I was talking about assists earlier that I'm going to say here, you pick your assist at the start of the game. I realised late into recording audio for this video that when I explained it earlier I made it sound like you can pick literally any assist when the time comes and I couldn't be bothered to edit it. No, you can't. You pick one at character select. It's how every other assist in every other game that's ever had them has worked, just in case there was any confusion. Okay, mechanics.
We're going back in time to the
Release of Smash Ultimate
to get
short hop macro
off the menu. That's right. We're going back in time to the
Release of Smash Ultimate
to get
short hop macro
off the menu.
Who are you talking to?
This guy right here.
Hard to believe I'm going to be taking out the one thing that unintentionally kneecaps all depth and player expression from Smash Ultimate's gameplay, but yeah, I actually am going to get rid of the short hop macro, or at least fix it, or make it toggleable. Controversial as it may be, I would like my gameplay to be good. I'd also like the term platform fighter to not apply to players actively having to fight platforms in order to get off them, drop through them, or do really fucking anything on them, so whatever's up with them in that game, I'm gonna fix that too. Here's an actually controversial decision. I would remove directional air dodges. We'd go back to having only neutral air dodges, which you can use multiple times in the air, because I don't think directional air dodges really worked in Ultimate. They didn't really add as much depth as they did in Melee, probably largely because edge hogging doesn't exist anymore. Directional air dodges were an experiment that didn't work, and only served to make many characters' disadvantaged states too powerful. I miss air dodge reads. They were some of the coolest and most skill-testing moments in any game of competitive Smash. I feel like I haven't seen one in 6 years. I am aware of the ramifications of this. Despite my little joke about Ridley wave dashing earlier, this would effectively remove wave dashing and wave landing from the game. My response to that is fine. Melee can be its own thing. The addition of directional air dodges to Ultimate proved to me that the devs were just trying to make a game that wasn't like Melee at all, more like Melee, without understanding or wanting to understand what makes Melee such a good competitive game. They were trying to fit a square peg into a round hole without even studying geometry. Neutral air dodges in my game, however, would stale in the same way rolls do in Ultimate to prevent them being too powerful and thus spammed. For every instance of an air dodge past 1, you would suffer increased landing lag next time you touch the ground. Pretty simple stuff. We don't need wave dashing or wave landing to have movement in this game, because guess what? I'm bringing back tons more of the cool Smash 4 stuff that Ultimate inexplicably got rid of. Perfect pivoting is back, because of course it is. It was dope. Shield dropping is back, because platforms in this game would actually function. And while I am trying to let past games like Melee maintain their identity, I think we can afford to shave some first actionable frames off everyone's initial dash and get dash dancing up in here. Dash dancing, foxtrotting, you name it. And what do you know, just like that, we have movement. We have technology. And I'll do you one better and look for some brownie points with the Ultimate fans by telling you that I'm also going to be retaining the cool pieces of tech that that game introduced too. Both of them. Slingshotting, which can't really be attributed to Ultimate, it is more a credit to the community digging for oil in a rainforest over the course of 3 years, would combine with all the other movement tech to make something truly special, I think. Add in pivot cancelling, and we've got something that tech fiends could run wild with, and be floating and sliding all over the stage in a way that looks different to any other official Smash game. Finally, and this only kinda counts as movement tech, but C-bouncing, what did they do to you? Why did they get rid of you? I miss you. Get back in here, you saucy minx. Justice for C-bouncing. Okay, point 2.5 for Ultimate fans. I actually like not being able to tech grounded spikes. I think it opens up a lot of combo routes and gives spiking down airs some utility beyond dunking people off stage. What I don't like is this arbitrary percent limit on techs. Not being able to tech the stage after you've taken a certain amount of percent. Come on, man! With a change like this, how are we ever going to see another El Tech de Jesus moment? Oh, you've never seen the El Tech de Jesus moment? Let me show you guys the El Tech de Jesus moment.
La orilla. No me dio bien la esquina y... Uy, es lo que te digo, creo que ahí...
Offstage,
Okay.
el tech de Jesús,
Otra
el
vez.
segundo tech de Jesús,
La piña.
el tercer tech de Jesús, el cuarto tech de Jesús,
¡Oh!
el quinto tech de Jesús,
¡Oh!
el sexto tech de Jesús,
Otra.
el séptimo tech de Jesús, el octavo tech de Jesús. No!
Oh!
Smash 4 was great and you are all wrong. 50k subs on hard drive by the end of the year and I'll make that a video. No longer being able to run through your opponent's shield is a change I'm split on. I really hate how it contributes to the back and forth in a straight line jousting neutral of Smash Ultimate, and I also hate how running through opponent's shields has historically been so inconsistent, having to take character sizes and shield sizes and body blocking into account, and seemingly, surely, being a nightmare to program. It also is an inadvertent buff to fast characters, as dash speed is another factor that plays into it, and fast characters are almost universally always extremely good anyway. Thing is, it affords so much more expression in your movement and gameplay, the dancing around the opponent's shield, the footsies, the mix-up of whether you go for a grab or a tomahawk or you take the risk of running right past your opponent's shield to open him up. I love it. I've gone back and forth on this, but right now my heart says bring back running through shields. To make up for the way it buffs already good fast characters, my pipe dream design team and I would be very intent on giving slow and heavy characters as many tools as possible in this game. Heavy characters are universally getting godlike recoveries in this game. No more aerial spinning Kong, this motherfucker's getting squawks. Okay, squawks probably wouldn't be able to carry him, but we'd come up with something. Final matter on my list, 2-framing. It has been here too long. I've got my shotgun, I've got my shack. Come on out back with me, 2-framing. Your time is up. No one should be punished for literally just recovering. It's shocking that we as Smash players have had to put up with an exploit as stupid as this, but yes, I am removing 2 frames. We're all going to have to get better at edge guarding or ledge trapping, and now being in the corner will be an actual phase of the game. These mechanics, I believe, would create a game that is mechanically unique and, more importantly, mechanically deep. This cocktail of movement tech would surely give way to more advanced strategies as time passes, especially should Jesus himself, my Smash Corner, feel like emerging from his tomb again anytime in this alternate timeline's next 10 years. Some may suggest that it's too much like Smash 4, but I'd reject that. One, even if that is the case, that game's movement and fundamental mechanics, in particular buffer system, were very underrated, but we have melee style dash dancing, slingshotting, pivot cancelling, and yes, acting out of dash from Smash Ultimate, and parrying, fine, whatever. And the all-important assists meter. With this, I think we have a fast-paced but readable game with boundless potential in its movement and expression, and endless possibilities in the combos you can come up with when pairing characters with assists. Absolutely no one asked, but if it were up to me, the top 5 would be these guys. And Fox, Pikachu and Diddy can sit a game out for once. They will be our bottom tiers. Along with this guy, because that's funny. Consider this a challenge to Nintendo, who definitely will not watch this video or give a second thought to anything I have said, but I will say the minimum requirement for me to consider this video or any of my videos on this series a success is to see any kind of Smash entry in the next 10 years that fixes that goddamn short hop macro. It seems incredibly unlikely, but one can dream, as I've been doing for this whole video. So there you have it, Smash 6. Will the next entry end up looking anything like this? Truly, I have no idea. But as I say, I consider this a challenge that will almost definitely go unanswered to Nintendo to come up with something even better than this one idiot on his stupid little YouTube channel has. What did you think of it all? Furious at me for forcing the assist meter on? Moulding at me for cutting Mewtwo and keeping Lucario? Outraged by all my jabs at Ultimate? Let me know in the comments, because it counts as engagement and I don't have to read it. I would really like it if going forwards with this series we could normalise a smaller scale and even learn to enjoy that and look forward to it. Rarely is a game as deep as it is wide. That being said, videos like this often are as deep as they are wide because damn, this shit took ages to make. I haven't plugged this in a while, but I have a Patreon. It would mean the world to me if you could sign up for it and give whatever you feel comfortable giving. Without saying too much, Hard Drive are in a financially tricky period right now and thus my pay has been compromised. These are terms that I've agreed to, for what it's worth. I'm not getting ripped off against my will at all. We're all having a tough time over there in terms of money and I believe in them, so I'm willing to work with them whilst taking a bit of a hit everywhere there has. But any Patreon support would greatly bolster my dwindling accounts and I'd appreciate it so much. I occasionally post early videos over there or give general updates, and I'm sorry I can't offer more, but as you can imagine, between working with them and doing the occasional video like this on the channel, I have quite a lot on my plate at the moment. Please feel no obligation to me. Again, only what you want to give if you have a little something spare. I shall return now to my idiot box on the sillier side of YouTube and having a blast all the while. Coming up soon on Hard Drive, every US president ranked by how much of a gamer they would be. Yes, seriously, just watch us. If you can't give anything to the Patreon, then a sub to that channel, which I run entirely by myself right now, would also mean a ton if you're not already subbed. Thank you for all you do to support me if you do. I hope you enjoyed this bit of armchair game dev that's only made me feel a little bit dirty. Catch you guys on Hard Drive. Peace.